Oh, boy, caught me off guard here. All right, good evening and welcome to About the Valley. And we have with us tonight the DPW Director, Shuris, who wants to fly right out of here at 8 o'clock because he wants to get home and watch the Pats.
Absolutely, we have to see them win that game.
9 o'clock tonight. You can tune in at 8 o'clock for them because they're going to have the unveiling of the Super Bowl banner. But that was last year's Super Bowl. We have to worry about this year's now.
Exactly.
Well, anyway, that's at 9 o'clock, so you got plenty of time to stick with us. And we're broadcasting on the net as well. So if you don't have charter or if you live in Princeton, you can watch it live on the net.
Nice dig, Harry.
Yeah.
And we do have satellite dishes in Princeton, no cable TV though, so we're getting up there.
They don't have cable in?
We don't have cable, we don't have water, we don't have sewer.
They never put cable in Princeton.
Never.
So until satellite came along, you never had you couldn't get any TV other than the local stations.
We were stuck with Uncle Gus and Major Mud and,
Jeez. And you know what?
Copeland.
They could have done their own by putting it on that mountain you got out there.
But that's something that's above and beyond my capabilities.
That's how cable got started.
Yeah.
Guy in Pennsylvania owned a TV store, and it was in the mountains of Pennsylvania, and people got very poor reception on TVs. He owned a TV store, but he was having a hard time selling televisions because you couldn't get any stations. He put up a master antenna on a mountain in Pennsylvania. And then he ran a cable down, and he tied it into his TV in his showroom. People loved it, and he said, well, can we get that too? Yeah, so he wired the town. And I forget his name, but his kids still run a cable company, one of the biggest in the nation.
Well, I still have my antenna on top of the chimney with the rotation.
With the rotary.
And I was very upset when they stopped allowing me to use the antenna because I had better reception at times. I never had failures, but I only had 5 channels.
Right. Well, anyway, we're here to talk about the DPW garage, which is in bad need of, let me tell you. You just got a brand new sweeper.
Right, that just got delivered today, and it's sitting under one of our new tents.
Yeah. I mean, what, 150 grand?
It's about 190,000.
$200,000, and it sits under a tent. If you paid 200 grand for your car, you wouldn't put it under a tent.
But more importantly, we need a garage to perform our day-to-day functions.
Yes.
To perform them safely, efficiently,
especially in the winter.
Winter is the most disastrous time for the DPW because right now, I mean, ever since 1941, when that DPW was built, the folks show up for a snowstorm with flashlights and ice scrapers to scrape the windshields, and it's just not, in today's world, it shouldn't be that way. And we're trying to be more efficient and provide more value to the town.
You think about it, 1941, that's a long life for a building. It gets that kind of use.
Well, the building that we have, the brick building, is in excellent condition.
Right.
We just replaced.
They did a good job back then.
They did a very good job. It has some leaks in the walls. We're going to mortar, repatch the mortar, replace the slabs, spend some money on the existing building, but also build a new building on that existing site.
Now, someone suggested that you might want to put a peaked roof on that old building.
Well, right now, the roof on the building does not leak.
Right.
And basically, it's a low roof, so putting a sloped roof on that building really wouldn't provide any benefit right now. And once we start changing the structure, you're going to have to perform a seismic analysis, and right now that building will not pass seismic loading.
Oh.
It was never designed for seismic back in 1941, even though seismic existed many, many years ago.
But you didn't have the requirements you have today.
Exactly, but I was working with Jim Sheehan, the building inspector, and basically if we make no structural modifications, the concrete slab on grade is something you have to repair. That's really not considered a seismic construction element, so we're free and clear. But the main thing is we've worked hard with the BPCC, the town manager. We've made some presentations to the Board of Selectmen over the years. And by the way, I celebrated my 4th year anniversary last month. And this is
Time flies.
And this is the 3rd time since I've been here, at least, that we're trying to get approval to build a new DPW.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've tried many times, we've
Now-
had different options, and this should be the,
Is there a final plan that you can put out?
right now it's on the preliminary stage, but what we did do, Harry, is we determined where we'd like to site the building, which is gonna be outside the floodplain, outside the riverfront. It's gonna be located where two existing buildings are located, which will be demolished. They're in horrible condition.
Right.
And that was the area where the soils were hazardous soils. Back in 2002, they did some studies, and they claimed that an AUL site, activity use limitation. So we picked the best corner in the highest elevation, and we paid a LSP, a licensed site professional, to perform some exploratory work, which they completed. They actually dug 8 wells. 7 out of the 8 tested okay. 1 tested borderline, but it wasn't bad.
Right.
And they estimate that we're going to have to remove about 20 cubic yards of material, which is about $20,000. So it went from 350 with the big plan down to $20,000.
$1,000 a cubic yard?
It's expensive
I guess it is.
because you have to remove and replace.
Right. What do they do when they remove it?
They would probably bring it over to an aggregate and recycle it. But we're going to have an LSP on site to manage that work when it's done, and that's going to be a simple part of the project. And the 2 buildings, one of the 2 buildings has asbestos. There's about $23,000 worth of asbestos removal
Ugh.
on the roof. So the contractor will come in, rip the roof off, take away the asbestos, then we can demolish those 2 buildings. So we'll have a nice, clean site. And the location is going to be in the entryway as you first come in on the right-hand side. We're going to pull those gates out about 80 to 100 feet and just site this beautiful metal building. We'd like to get at least 8,000 square feet, but with that building, it'll be 6 bays, 6 14 by 14 doors, overhead doors, 9-inch slab-on grade, all the stormwater requirements, water, sewer. We have water to the site. We'll extend sewer out to Douglas Road for both that building and possibly the existing building that right now is on a septic system.
I was going to say, you don't have sewer down there.
We do not.
Right next to the river.
Right next to the Mumford.
Jeez.
Haven't had a backup since I've been there.
There's a DPW. It doesn't have a sewer hookup.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
I should probably talk to Mark Curse about that and Jim
Yeah.
Madigan, why they didn't do that.
Probably because the cost was too high to charge for hooking up.
But we have, what we do have at that site is we have all the utilities, you know?
Yep.
And the way I look at it, when we did the first feasibility study, it was determined that the deed had a restriction as a DPW from
Right. From
Yeah.
the White Machine
the
Works.
White Machine Works.
We got a phone call here. Go ahead, caller. You're on.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen.
Wait a minute. We can't hear you. Wait, oh, I hit the wrong one. There we go. Now you're all set.
Hey, good evening, Harry and Jim. How you doing tonight?
Okay.
Very good, Barry. Hey, good to hear you. Good talking to you yesterday.
Yeah. You never know where you're going to run into somebody. Hey, let's talk about the DPW first. There's a lot of concerns out there because, as you know, a stellar group of private citizens in 2012 submitted an excellent plan to the BPCC for a DPW facility that could be built at Fletcher Street or at the wastewater treatment plant. Now, the one that that was submitted to the BPCC in August of 2012 was a 14,000 square foot facility, and it was an estimated cost of $1.8 million, and that was with a 10% contingency built into it. And so, there's a lot of wondering, you really deserve a good facility down there, and that facility also included a wash bay at $125,000. So I hope that, if the BPCC lost that, I'm sure we can get another copy of it. But that was an excellent building, 14,000 square feet, and that was an estimated cost of $1.8 million. And you're talking $1.8 million now for an 8,000 square foot facility without a wash bay, and and doing some fix-up and remodeling at the present facility. So I think there's just a kind of bewilderment out there that, we want to see you get a good facility, and we also want to make sure that, that the wash bay is included. I mean, and then, also the Board of Selectmen and the FinCom would really help out if they could give you something in writing that they would support you and the BPCC. It would help your comfort level, up to, anywhere between $1 and $2.8 million. And so that would give you a comfort level. Hopefully that might be forthcoming or discussed. I'll give you some time to comment on what I just said, Jim and Harry.
All right, Barry, let me comment by this. Well, after we met yesterday and had a great conversation for 30 minutes, I went back to my office and I went back to the BPCC minutes of the meeting, and I did see the design that you're referring to. And I believe at the time, you had solicited bids for, I saw 7 bidders.
Okay, I think that wasn't the one in 2010, Jim.
Pardon, Barry?
I think that was the one in 2010.
That's the one I saw.
Okay, the one we submitted in August of 2012 is the 14,000 square foot facility, and it was at $1.8 million.
And I remember that, Barry, because I was at that meeting.
Right. So, I mean, if that's at $1.8 million for a 14,000 square foot facility with a wash bay, there's this kind of bewilderment of, you're talking 8,000 square feet for only, for a similar price. And so, I mean, there's
Barry,
something off somewhere.
Who came up with the 1.8 million? Was that actually put out to bid?
That was done by the by the private citizens group, I believe. But there was also bids done in 2010, and that was a 12,000
Right.
square foot facility, drive-through, doors, a wash bay, a new salt shed, and the fixing of the very questionable entrance and crossing into the wastewater treatment plant. I think that was like around $2.1 million, and they actually did have return bids on that, Harry.
Okay, but on the 1.8 million, 12,000, did they have actually returned bids on that?
I'm not sure.
And
All
also,
I know is that
did it include the work the site work that has to be done with the removal of the buildings, the asbestos?
well, I know that the site work was going to be more expensive at the Fletcher Street facility than at the wastewater treatment plant. So I don't know if so the site work may not have been figured into that. But I'm just thinking. I mean, so say it bumps it up to $2.8 million if you built the 14,000 square foot facility with the wash bay. I mean, the town's going to be saving significantly on municipal liability insurance, and also, as Jim is aware, the state has approved that cities and towns can use Chapter 90 funding. So, I mean, you can use almost 1% of Chapter 90 funding for 30 or 40 years to fund this if the town doesn't approve it. So, I mean, there's a lot of avenues there, and I think everybody's on the same page. If there's a consensus that you need a DPW, the town is wasting money on equipment rotting out. The town is wasting money on municipal liability insurance premiums, and I think we just want to get something that's that you're going to benefit from and it's going to be good. I mean, why shortchange yourself with an 8,000 square foot facility and no wash bay?
I'm with you. If you can get a better buy, I just don't understand why this is not coming about.
I can answer that, Barry. One of the limitations on Fletcher Street, first of all, let's rewind the movie. When we came up with 7 options with HKT, it required total reconfiguration of the Fletcher Street site for stormwater and the riverfront and the floodplain. And that cost was about $1 million just for site work to make it work. So, fast forward, okay, let's say, what do we need? At that time, we needed 19,000 square feet with 2 senior vans in there. So, take the senior vans out. Take 2,000 feet away. Now we're down to 17,000 square feet. Hey, guess what? We just inherited Pine Grove Cemetery. There's about 4,000 square feet of buildings down there. I'm not talking high bays, I'm talking low bays for tractors, lawnmowers, weed whackers, wheelbarrows, you name it, we've got space over there. So now, and we could also, the building that we have right now, 4,200 square feet, the brick building, 3,000 square feet are the 5 bays. The other 2 bays are for office and for bathroom expansions and rest area. So now we have 3,000 in the existing brick building, which is going to cost money. We've got about $150,000 to take out 3,000 square feet of 8-inch concrete slab, put back 8-inch with drainage, stormwater, repoint the walls, do some cosmetics inside, a new stack for the HVAC, keep the emergency generator, and put a new generator at the other building, a 100 kVA generator, 400 amp, 208 volt, and basically, when you put these pieces together, you're going to have around 17,000 square feet total.
Mhm.
And if you take that number...
But Jim, you know you're talking about the Pine Grove Cemetery. I mean, sooner or later there's going to have to be maintenance done to those buildings.
Oh, we totally agree. Those buildings in the back need some attention. The wood structure needs some attention.
I did find out that 14,000 square foot, they did punch in $300,000 for site work. So, and they also punched in 35,000 for grading under the building. So those 2 figures were in there. So I'm
Barry,
thinking just, you try to get a building that's going to work, and that 2 or 3 years down the road, you're not going to say, well, gee, when we were building it, I wish we had put a wash bay in, or we had added a couple of thousand more square feet. So I hopefully that that they also review that proposal that was submitted in August of 2012 to the BPC. I mean, if they don't have it, I'm pretty sure that the group still has the original copies, and it's something that we could work to get that to the BPC. And the bigger thing too is at the time, the one in 2010 failed, and it was only going to cost $20 for 30 years. And so, I mean, I think whatever you can do to try to reduce the cost, but I think if you can say if the town's going to save money on the equipment, potentially the municipal liability insurance premiums are going to be going down. I know the FinCom was very upset about, I think we're up to almost $200,000 a year now on the municipal liability insurance premiums. So, I mean, if you can bring that down, that's money that can be recalibrated into paying for the facility. And plus, if you take 1% of the Chapter 90 over 30 years, if the town fails, because I mean, the town should go forward with something, because it's just ridiculous of what the crews are dealing with and working down there. And so hopefully they do get something accomplished.
I agree, Harry. I mean, I agree, Barry. Just keep this in mind. We spent a lot of money on the windows at Town Hall. The state spent money to replace that bridge on Douglas Road. It looks beautiful. When you drive into the Memorial Square coming down Douglas and Main Street and Church Street, it looks awesome right now,
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about pride. And
Right.
If we could make that Fletcher Street site, which right now is in total disrepair, a better place to live and a better place to work, so it's not an eyesore,
Mm-hmm.
and work with the Heritage Group and make it look like, get a nice maroon soft color, nothing that shines when the sun hits it. But what we're proposing is a building with skylights on the roof,
Mm-hmm.
22 feet high in the front, 20 feet high in the back, single pitch to reduce the drainage problems, and basically site it where you don't have to get involved in floodplain or riverfront. And keep in mind, there's also another area next to the salt shed way in the back that's outside the riverfront. So if you need to expand in the future, you could probably fit between 4,000, maybe 3,000 and 4,000 square feet of additional building back there. I don't think we'll need it. I think with the fact that we have Pine Grove, the brick building, rehab it, the new 8,000 square foot building, And we might even still use the fire station in the winter off season to put.
Well, we got a new fire station, you can take over the old one.
But you know, one thing, Barry, I would not recommend using Chapter 90 because right now our roads are getting better every day. You know, the town gave us money, the state gave us money. They gave us a little bit of money the last 2 years. We're putting that money on the ground, and you can see the results. You know, the guys did a wonderful job this year, and next year it should get better and better and better. One of the mistakes that I've seen in the past is, and I've got about 20 years of this experience inside me from 4 different cities and towns, is towns, unlike Northbridge, use Chapter 90 to buy equipment. And that's something we don't do, and that's something we shouldn't do, you know? But once we start tapping into Chapter 90, and we only get $480,000 a year anyway right now, and they gave us this...
I'm saying that as a last case resort.
Yeah.
If it fails at the town meeting and at the ballot box, and plus towns are acting on that new proposal that the town of Lee just passed, the local tax for roads and bridge repairs. They're adding on to the gas tax. So say, the town, it could have that option to do a 1 cent gas tax, and and the proceeds from that 1 cent gas tax can go actually to fixing the roads and the bridges dedicated right in Northbridge. So that's a new additional revenue source that will be coming down the pike if the town ever decided to adopt it with Chapter 90 funding.
They don't adopt the meal
I'm
tax
going back
addition.
to you saying use the Chapter 90 option. Say you're getting, say, roughly, let's say, 500,000 of yearly from Chapter 90. In worst case, like I'm saying, if the town does it again, votes the DPW down, and they vote it again down at the ballot box, you have the option. Chapter 90 funds can be spent at your in the town manager direction, and I'm saying take 1% of that and do a bond for 40 years if you have to, because we need a DPW. The games have to stop, and it's just ridiculous that the equipment's being wasted, the lifespan, and plus the municipal liability insurance premiums are most likely affected due to the age of that facility and some other things in town that are considered in that makeup with the liability insurance premium. But like you said something about, you just mentioned about possible expansion down the salt shed.
Right.
I mean, it's taken us 40 years to even try to get a DPW, and we haven't. So I'm saying, don't cut yourself short here. Go if you need 10,000 square feet in a wash bay. I'm saying, Jim, go for it, because you're never going to get another chance in this town again. And here is the opportunity to do it. And I'll let it go at that. But I just have two non-DPW facility questions. I would like to say thank you for the sharpening your pencil on the indirect cost to the schools. And I guess the town helped out with some extra snow relief money for the schools, so that was good. And I'm getting a lot of questions about, as you know, for years, a very well-dedicated citizen in town, and I mean, I think there was more than one, did the flower barrels in Memorial Square. And the question that I'm getting is this something that the DPW can assume or pick up and add to the ambiance of Memorial Square? I mean, so there's a lot of questions asked, why can't the DPW pick that function up, or is that something that you're looking into?
Well, we addressed that yesterday about weeds. I mean, the woman that was performing that work called the town manager's office, and he had spoken to my department, and we had folks out there yesterday weed whacking essentially. But for flowers and pots and things like that, I mean, Barry, we just picked up another 35 acres of grass for Pine Grove Cemetery, and that's
How
a
about
full-time
getting a
effort.
volunteer to come out again?
Well, that's another way, but the
Yeah.
fact of the matter
How about
is,
someone volunteering?
we're trying to put together a vegetative management plan so we could actually herbicide all the public ways, certain areas, 122 Main
Well, I
Street,
gotta
Church
tell
Street,
you,
and make it clean.
we did all the streetscape work, and you drive through town, and all you see is weeds growing out of, between the curbs.
It's a total eyesore, we agree, but, we have to prioritize things, and right now,
Right. But
getting
if you
that.
can't handle that, how are you going to handle flowers?
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
well, it
So-
was a thought because they thought that if where you get summer help during the summer and it was something maybe just to see if this was something that the DPW could assume because it was a nice touch all those years, and I guess if it's too labor intensive or too cumbersome or whatnot, I guess that's something we'll probably have to do without, or unless another volunteer steps up, like as Harry says. All right, I'll let somebody else call in, and hopefully we do get a DPW. But again, Jim, hopefully you don't cut yourself short because I don't think there'll be any other chances in the future if you realize that you shortchange yourself and there's no wash bay with this facility. Okay, thank you, Harry, and thank you, Jim.
Okay.
Thanks, Barry. Just one comment about the flowers and the weeds. We do have people that have approached us, Eagle Scout projects,
Yeah.
and hopefully within the next few weeks I'll have an Eagle Scout who will be painting the fire hydrants on Northbridge's side. So we have about 700 hydrants total, so 350. So we'll get those hydrants painted yellow.
But
so
don't
they're
we
not
pay
rusting
the
away.
water company a fee for hydrant fee?
Only they pay their hydrants, Harry, and if they want to paint our hydrants, they charge us. So if we
I
can
thought
get that work,
we pay them a fee, a
No.
monthly fee. It's on the water bill.
that's not part of that fee. Is not.
Oh, because we were told at one point that that fee was a hydrant fee, and people got upset about that, so they changed it, what they call it.
I want to go back to the DPW. Let's talk
Right.
about highway stuff.
But,
But the one thing is, if we start tapping, Barry had a great suggestion as another alternative using Chapter 90. But once you start doing that, you're going to see the roads just going down,
well,
down, down.
1%. If you get $480,000, that's only $4,800.
And that's not nearly
I don't think
enough
that makes a
money.
mortgage payment.
No.
Not on 1.8 million.
I know we borrowed $600,000 and the payment's about $35,000 a year for 20 years.
Yeah.
At the going rate 2.5–3% back in the day. So you're going to have at least $35,000 to $40,000 to pay $650,000.
So you're talking probably close to 10% of it.
Right now, it put a big dent in what we're doing right now.
Which would be 480. If you're 480,000, 10% would be 48,000.
But getting back to the building, I mean, we don't have a dedicated wash bay, but what we do is one of the 6 bays will be used to wash the equipment. We'll have a
Right.
trench. We'll have a floor trench in the middle of the bed, in the middle of the slab.
Well, what Barry's getting at is how come if that price came in at the same amount in a better building, why aren't you going with that plan? What I'm wondering is, did they actually get people that bid at that amount, and did it include the site work that has to be done at the DPW, which is going to be a big part of the cost,
Well, what I think
including renovating the old building?
I think what I'll do is I was looking at the wrong report. I was looking at the 2010 report.
Yeah, the one that was $8 million or something like that, wasn't it?
No, this was the one that was $2.5 million, I think. The first one that the group put together.
Oh.
But I'll take a look at the one that was submitted in 2012 and find out what the pieces of that puzzle are. And I agree with you, Harry. Get the people involved that are part of the process and let everybody
Now,
brainstorm
when's
a
this
solution.
when's this going to go on a warrant?
It's on the warrant. I believe it was on the warrant as of the 24th. August 24th was the closing date.
Oh, so it's on a warrant for October.
Right, so we're working right now to
And then it'd have to be a special election.
Right, we're trying to fine tune the budget. We're trying to keep it. Right now, it's $1.8161 million. So we're trying to make it even lower. But
Yeah.
what I don't want to do is jeopardize what we need now.
But to give people an idea, it would have to be approved at town meeting.
Yes,
Then the town would have to put a special election together to vote to do a debt exclusion to pay for it. And the reason we have to have a special election is there's no state election or federal election this year. There's no election until next March. And you'd want to get that approved prior to that. So you could go ahead with the plans, and then come spring, you'd go ahead with the building.
I would encourage people to come down and visit the DPW on Fletcher Street to see exactly what we have on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, yeah. No, there's no doubt it's necessary. I think that what comes into question is what you build. And that's what that's what part of the problem is. You know, there was a controversy when you wanted to go over to Douglas Road,
Hmm.
because now you were splitting up the operation. There's a controversy about moving you down to the water treatment plant. So I think that's part of the problem. But look at, well, you're there already. Why not just stay there and get it done right and clean up the place?
Yeah, we don't have to
Those
create...
buildings in there now are eyesores.
Exactly. It was always a DPW neighborhood since 1941, so we're not changing the character. We can
Right.
improve it. And also, you know, it's located in the heart of the downtown. We have the schools downtown that we plow for sidewalks, and
Yep.
sometimes the parking lots in sand and salt. We have sidewalks downtown that we plow. We
Yeah,
have
that
the
would be a
town-
lot further for the sidewalk plows to go.
And we have the town buildings downtown that we maintain on a daily basis. So
Right.
it's the right location. Unfortunately, if you start building a larger structure, you're going to pay on the other end for additional site work and stormwater improvements. And that's the only reason why we squeezed this small
Well, that's what I said, you went
8,000
with
square foot
8,000
building.
because that was able to get it into the
Right.
site without doing a lot of other site work, right?
But it does give us enough square footage to keep every piece of equipment under the roof, and that's
Right.
the key. And then it will have a wash bay in one area, a wash bay, similar to what they do in Uxbridge. Uxbridge has a 6,000 square foot metal building, and it's very efficient. And they do all the repairs in that building. They wash equipment in that building. It's high roof. They have jacks, floor jacks. We're going to get the electric jacks that are mounted on the floor. So the floor is going to be designed to take that additional loading, okay? And we're allocating around $50,000 for equipment. And it will be heated, lighted, and secure.
Yeah, I mean, anybody else got any questions on this? I mean, Barry gave out an extensive amount there. But here again, I think people are going to question, if the other building came in at the same price and it was bigger, why aren't you going with it? That's going to be the big question. What I'm trying to do is eliminate any problems with this and more debate at town meeting than necessary.
Well, I think one of the things that adds cost, and it's always been an issue as far as I've been here, are the knee walls.
Right,
So if you install a knee wall, which is nothing other than a 4-foot wall that extends above the grade,
right,
onto which the structural steel gets set
Right.
on as a protection, rather than just put a slab on grade with the columns going down to the slab with no protection, other than maybe bollards, but you're not protecting the entire perimeter that way, that adds a significant amount of money.
well, cement's costly.
And concrete, the last time I checked, prevailing wage now, keep in mind, this is prevailing wage,
Yep.
which bumps up the cost about 2.5 to three times as much. It used to be about $400 a cubic foot to form it, pour it, strip it, and rub it. And that number, Barry's number, I've got to look at that, the number of the group of people, that was in 2012. The number I'm using is based on unit cost, today's unit cost,
Mm-hmm.
based on my experience, a contractor's experience, and what they did in the town of Needham. Needham built a facility, and we're using those same unit costs. And when we met with the BPCC a couple weeks ago, they were asking the same question, and I was firing out unit costs for fire protection, electrical, based on square footage, lineal feet, the whole 9 yards. And two of the members on the BPC, one is an electrical estimator, and the other one works for an electrical contractor, so they know the numbers. And we have some other professionals on there, structural engineers, and the numbers are good numbers. They're good numbers. They're today's numbers. So
Right.
that gave me a good feeling, and it also gave the BPC a good feeling that these are real good numbers. But like you said, Harry, the numbers are what they are when the bids come in.
Right.
And
And that was my question with Barry. Did we have actual bids on this? You can say, well, that's what we think it'll come in at, but it's what it actually comes in is that's important. That's the number you need.
just as an example, okay, our paving contract, the prices came in about 18% lower this year per ton.
Yeah.
Not only for
well, oil went
Northbridge,
down.
not only Northbridge, but Northbridge, Uxbridge, Grafton, Upton, they've all come down.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, petroleum's down, so asphalt's going to be down.
And that's it might be the same issue with construction, okay?
Right.
Construction. But the nice thing is, on a steel package building, I met with a package building company, gave them the layout, told them exactly what we needed: 6 overhead doors, skylights, so much of a height, 1 pitch, 2 passage doors, windows, a whole 9 yards. They priced it up, so I know what that number is for the steel, and they have what they call as a dealer that works with that company.
Yeah.
So together, instead of getting a steel building delivered to the site, say, okay, Jim, find someone to build it. This is a package deal where the company that builds and the company that manufactures are one. But it will still have, we could actually go out on a chapter 44, which is for modular construction, which was always an issue since I've been here. But once you start building stick-built, like demolishing work in an existing building, doing work on the fueling station, renovating the salt shed, that's a design, bid, build. It's not modular. So we could carve it out in 2 separate contracts or have one contractor do it all. One modular and one stick-built. So we're thinking about those things right now. And it's going to be a process, but until we receive the money, it's all talk.
Right.
You know, we have the numbers to back up the talk, but it's all talk. You know, I can't put a shovel in the ground, other than the LSP work that we did, that the BPC gave me money to do, that made me feel good because we have a clean, affordable site now for that
Right.
section. But I can't hire an engineering firm. I can't do anything other than take the information I have right now, put the unit cost together and say, this is the plan, with a schematic layout that locates the building outside the floodplain, outside the riverfront. And one other thing too, Harry, this building will cost a little bit more, not only because of the knee walls, but the back wall of that building will be a retaining wall, support wall, against the Fletcher Street side. So that wall will probably be a 6 to 8 foot high wall above grade rather than a slab on grade wall.
Right.
So that adds cost.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That maybe their design, it didn't take in a lot of some things that need to be taken in. I don't know. I mean, what you say, you'll have to look at that design.
I will take a look at that and present that to the BPC next time we meet. I think that's a reasonable request.
But now you say, not to change the subject, but I think we got to bring up on the paving of the roads. You came in below what you estimated. Is that going to allow you to do something more now?
Well, one of the situations is Main Street came out pretty good.
Yeah.
Even considering the fact that we had a little bit more railroad rails to take out. We still have work to do on that road. We have some patching work. We've got pavement markings.
Yeah.
We've got the same thing at Ovian Square, but we did real well this year. We're trying to see where we are right now with cost, and we'll keep going if we have to. But we don't want to pave we don't want to pave after Halloween. That's our
Right,
drop
right.
dead date.
Let's take this call. Oh, I got a real bad back today. Go ahead, call. You're on.
Hi, I was just wondering, Jim, you were talking about the height of the knee wall, okay?
Yes,
How deep has it got to be?
it's 4 feet below grade, frost level.
I think
So
she
it's-
means how thick.
How thick?
12 inches minimum.
It's got to be thicker than that.
Not necessarily, because it's only going to support the building. Not the building is a shell.
I'm thinking about the houses up on Fletcher Street.
Okay, well, excuse me. When you say bigger than that, what do you mean by that?
I mean, all right, the knee wall is going to go up, but how deep, how far back towards Fletcher Street? Is it going to be like 3, 4, 5 feet?
We have to work with Jim Sheehan on that to meet the zoning requirements.
Okay.
So right now, those buildings are tucked right up against. There's a granite wall in portions of that.
Oh,
section.
yeah. Yeah.
And right now, those buildings are tucked up right against the granite wall. There's probably 1 foot between the wall and the granite wall of the building.
All right.
So we could easily go in there and have that same offset,
Yeah.
and we'd like to be as close as that offset as possible to get more building width. Because right now we're looking at a 60-foot wide building by about 125 feet long
Okay.
for 6 bays. But that's the concept right now. That's what the price is based on.
Oh,
A
okay.
knee wall around the entire perimeter. However, on that back section that abuts Fletcher Street,
Yep.
it'll be higher.
Yeah, I'm trying to picture it, you know?
Yep.
Because, I mean, I've been down there in all the seasons, and it's, I don't know how you guys do it. I'm sorry. I do not. It gets nasty down there in the winter.
Is this Holly?
It's really,
It's not going to tell you.
it's rough working conditions down there.
It is.
It truly is. And I wish you the best of luck, and thanks for clarifying that for me. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling.
Have a good night.
Thank
Bye.
you. I suddenly got a bad pain, my lower back. Whew. But anyway, yeah, so you have money left over, you're going to be able to do something more when the road's in? Like last year you had some money left over, you did a little bit of Quaker.
Right, we have, right now we're targeted, this is our 4th year of this No Road Left Behind program, okay?
Right,
And we have $1 million targeted. Actually, the contract that we want, the contract is $741,000, but we have earmarked $949,000, okay? And about $496,000 of that is Chapter 90. The balance is year 4 of the roads, $125,000. The $300,000 that we're given for Main Street project, which we've
Right.
used all of it on that project. And we had some additional money that the state gave us for winter road recovery money because of the massive amount of snow, salt, and deteriorating roads. So,
right.
and our plan for the future is to try to maintain that $1 million mark. Now, we only get $470,000 from the state, and we've been given $125,000 by the town, so that gives us about $600,000. And keep in mind, we also use Chapter 90 money if we have any design projects, like we're going after a MassWorks project on Church Street Extension.
Yeah,
The work we did on Church Street Extension was only a temporary fix.
right.
It's excellent, but if that plan goes forward with the MassWorks project, we'll put an intersection at Quaker and Church Street Extension with signals. And we'll continue that work from Quaker Street all the way down to Plummer's Corner. So it'll go
You're
across
talking
the
about putting
bridge.
traffic signals at the end?
That's the goal right now.
Yeah, I don't
Because
know if
of-
I like that idea. Traffic signals make traffic back up.
But there was a study that was done, Harry, by a traffic engineer, and it calls for that. It'll lessen the queuing in the morning and at night.
Really, because when
Yeah.
you think about it, you look at how it backs up now because of the lights at Plummer's Corner.
I've been there before. I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, don't try to go to Hess at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's unbelievable, and it's backing up because the light backs them up. It's just like 146 is the same way in the morning and the afternoon. Lights tend to back the traffic up. I would think that if you could put an in, right now, I think it's working pretty damn good down there.
There's only a couple bottlenecks early in the morning, going out, and coming back. It'll back up at Plummer's Corner. And I've been on that road several times myself and just sit there purposely to see what's going on. And it's all about driver courtesy is a big
Right.
factor.
I mean, put a cop down there in the morning.
You're gonna have to talk to the chief on that. I can't answer that question.
No, but I'm saying that I think that part of the bottleneck is probably because people come in and going straight down Quaker Street, so you have to wait to let them go. But I don't think it's that many that are doing that.
No, like I said earlier, I mean, we have the same situation downtown at Memorial Square.
Right.
I
Well,
mean-
Memorial Square's a nightmare because of the light that I don't know how you're going to synchronize those lights.
Well, we went down there and we spent a lot of time analyzing that. Basically, had a company come down, and the timing on that intersection works great 90% of the time.
Except when it gets busy.
But there's that time of day where people go to work, the schools are open up, where it becomes just a bog. And again, it's about driver courtesy, because if you're coming up Douglas Road to go up to Hill Street, you'll see a line of cars lined up across trying to get onto Church Street,
Right.
and maybe a police officer is a solution. I don't know. But the signals right now are timing okay. They really are.
Yeah, because what happens is it backs up and the light turns red and they're still coming, and then they block off the intersection. You know, and that becomes a nightmare.
So as you can see, we do, the DPW has no time for rest. We have many things going on, a lot of things going on.
Right.
One of the things that I will address at the Monday Night Board of Selectmen meeting also are street lights. There are many street lights, ornamental lights downtown that are basically not functioning.
Same with Rockdale.
And Rockdale also, you're absolutely right.
But I think they were closed down because they're separately metered.
They are on separate meters,
And-
and they're not maintained by National Grid.
No, the ones you retain, people understand what's going on. National Grid lights aren't metered. You pay a flat rate per light. There's no meter on every pole. So you pay a flat rate on every light. So if the light's on all day, we're not paying any more for it. But the lights, the ornamental lights on the streetscape program are a separate issue. And those have meters that are read by National Grid.
You're exactly right. A lot of people call up and they say, "Hey, there's a street light on," and have them look at it, and I explain that same thing to them. It's based on the wattage,
Yeah,
and if it's off or on, they're still going to bill us.
right.
The ones that I want to get to address are the ones that aren't working at night, that should be on.
Yeah,
And we also have a lot of lights that are temporarily shut-offs. There's a lot on Linwood.
yep.
There's a lot on Church Street.
Well, this was to cut the budget down, to cut the cost down, so you'd have the money in something else. Because it comes out of your budget.
Absolutely.
All the streetlights in the town, all electricity used by the town, except the school department, comes out of your budget.
Yeah, we spend close to $100,000 a year on street lights.
Is there a with these streetscape lights, I wonder if the possibility of putting solar panels.
That's a great suggestion, you know that? We actually installed, if you go down, we installed 2 pedestrian signs, crosswalk,
Right.
solar, that basically flash.
Yeah, and they have a battery to keep
Yep.
them going at night, right?
That's something I could talk to someone about, Harry. That's a great suggestion.
You know, and the ornamental lights, I wonder how much it would cost. It'd be a one-time cost, but then that bill's gone.
That's even better than LEDs.
Yeah. Well, LEDs are fantastic because they're very low cost to operate. But you could possibly do something with both. Because you only get that sunlight during the day, and the solar panels today are much better. That's a big improvement over what they used to be. Even on cloudy days, they make electricity.
You just gave me another thing to do, Harry. I appreciate that. But you know what? These are ways you can save money on this end to spend money on that end.
Right.
You know, and just my budget or the DPW budget hasn't changed in probably at least since I've been here. It's been level funded.
It's been level funded for a long time.
Well, you know, we get the job done,
Yeah.
level funded.
But you got certain things that you can't level fund. You can't level fund the cost of electricity. That's not within your ability. Mass Electric if National Grid raised the price, then you got to pay it. You know, cost of fuel. You don't have any any way of regulating that. Fortunately, fuel costs are going down, but you're probably working on a bid that's higher.
Now we're locked into a contract for
Right,
3 years, so.
Yeah, so it's probably lower than what the contract is
But
now.
it's based on the rate, so it does adjust. It will
Oh,
adjust
okay.
down, and there is a ceiling on it too. So we're gonna make out on that end.
Oh, all right.
But we have 2 more years on the fuel contracts.
Right. But there are certain costs that you have no control over. And then, you have to give wage increases. Everybody deserves a raise. And people need to get raises to be able to survive.
Well, you know what? I mean, we've got some, and I keep on repeating myself when I say this, but it's true. We have some excellent workers in DPW. I mean, highway, I call it highway, park, cemetery, building,
Yep.
ground, sewer. And even the folks in the water department with Whitensville Water,
Right.
we work close with those guys.
Yes.
And, we were just talking about that today, Jamie and I, because Jamie's putting together snow plowing contracts for the winter. Yes, it's September, but winter comes up soon. And don't forget,
It could snow in October.
my first year here was the hurricane in August. and
Yeah.
then we had snow on Halloween Day.
Yeah.
And luckily we had the same contractors that came back, and they just had signed the contracts the week before. So we're trying to improve that this year to try to get larger trucks, more people to respond to all the calls in a timely fashion.
I'm going to hit you with a real good question here. You may hate me for it. I have more people ask me, who got the rails?
The contractor. Part of the contract was remove and dispose of the rails.
Okay, because boy, those are metal is down in price. So he didn't probably get what he would have got 2 years ago.
But keep in mind, the prices, we had that as a separate line item on the bids.
Right.
When we bid these projects, we have an a la carte bid. It's about 10 pages long,
Yeah.
30 or 40 items with a cost. And we looked at Main Street as a lump sum. We want you to do A, B, C, D,
Yeah.
remove rails, install gravel, binder, top coat, so many square yards, so
Right.
many lineal feet.
When he's doing his bidding, he has to come in. They have to come in with a good bid because it's a competitive bid.
But the prices for that line item, Harry, almost doubled from low to high. And that work got done in a pretty efficient manner. But the cost of the rails, the materials, was part of the bid.
Right.
And I'm sure they sold it off as scrap metal,
Right.
and to balance their budget.
But they figured what they were going to get for scrap brings down the cost of doing the job, and they figured that into the bid.
Right.
So they can be competitive. That's what I try to explain to people. It's, somebody made they're
No.
not making out that great. They still got to do the work.
Now, if we had said deliver those rails down to the treatment plant or down to Fletcher Street, they'd sit there for another 74 years.
And not only that, the bid would have been higher because if the contractor wasn't going to get the money for the rails, he's going to raise the price of what it's going to cost to do it.
Right. One thing we do keep is we keep the grinding. So when they mill a road,
Yeah.
we'll pay them so many dollars an hour to haul it down to the treatment plant, so we could use that for materials for road construction or grading.
Right.
We have a lot of private streets that are gravel.
Yeah.
So instead of putting gravel back that washes away, we'll use the grindings, and that works pretty good.
The grinding actually turns into almost pavement.
Yeah, it gets packed down,
Yeah.
and you're right, it becomes hard.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of private streets in town that we maintain. And many years ago, the Board of Selectmen gave the DPW authorization to maintain private ways. We can't spend any more than $500 a year making repairs, but
They leave you a lot.
Water Street is one of my favorite ones in
Yeah.
back of the fire station. That street is nothing but pothole city. It's a gravel
But that's
road.
owned by the White and Machine Works Realty, right?
I know, but it's called a private way. So we do plow that street. So in order to plow, we have to maintain it by filling in the ruts, the 8-inch deep
Right.
ruts. So it works both ways, and we're happy about that.
And we're getting short here, but I got to ask you, the top of Benson Road, I've had more people saying, why do they put the berm out so far?
Well, let's talk about that, because coming up, and we just installed stop bars. We relocated the stop signs.
Right.
Coming up Benson to Highland on the right-hand side, that should have been about 4 to 5 feet wider
Yeah.
at that intersection. And
Right.
coming down Highland, about 150 feet, it'll be like a triangle. So before that work is complete, that will be widened out. when
Okay,
you-
so what he's got paved now is not what's going to stay.
That's only a binder. It'll be 4 to 5 feet wider at the top. So if
Okay.
you see what that stop sign was purposely put back far.
Yeah.
So when all is said and done, that stop sign post would be about 2 feet from the edge of the road.
Okay.
But the nice thing about that is it's a new intersection. You've got water and sewer up there.
Yeah.
We actually regraded that intersection to take out that bump. And going up Cooper Road, we have new pavement from south of Highland to north of Highland. It's new road, and we'd like to continue that next year, Cooper Road, right down to Sutton Street.
I guess Sutton Street is coming out real good.
Sutton Street looks very good. We've had some calls about the mailboxes.
Well, I want to know who the sidewalk plow guy is going to be.
Well, we don't typically plow that area, but because it's how the school zone, but we do. It is, those posts are located to meet ADA requirements according to Mass DOT and the contractor and the postmaster. So And some of those mailboxes have these outriggers in the back that'll have to be cut off to accommodate that 36-inch minimum. And keep in mind, those sidewalks are 6 feet wide. From
Right.
the edge of Granite to back of sidewalk. And coming down Sutton Street, you say, why did they put that thing in the middle of the sidewalk? But if you get out with the tape measure, you'll see that they're 36 to 42
Well,
inches.
the way it works out, if you put them at the edge, at the curb, the mailbox would stick out in the road.
Right.
Now, the only way to get around that is you have to put them sideways.
And that's something that's not allowed by the postal carriers.
So then I looked at that and I said, well, you know what I would have done, and you're going to hate me for this, I would have said to the post office, why don't you change your route and start at the post office and work your way up the other side where there's no sidewalk, and we'll put the mailboxes on the other side of the street.
Well, there are some mailboxes on both sides of the street. And what we're going to do is the next...
There are, because
Oh, yeah.
they don't allow that anymore. Now they have one side and that's it.
No, this is two sides on Sutton Street.
Oh, because that goes way back.
And what we're going to do is from where they left off in the sidewalks down to Providence Road, they're going to locate the mailbox post closer to the edge of the road. So instead of having an offset of 6 or 7 inches from the edge of curb to
Yep.
mailbox, it's going to be more like 2 to 3 inches. So we'll pick up some more space.
Right. I know that now on housing developments, they have to be gang boxes.
Yep, the community boxes are good.
Yep.
And they also have to be ADA acceptable also. So you have
Right.
to have a wheelchair accessibility.
But they make the contract to put them in on the end of the street.
Yep.
You know, people get mad now. I say, well, I don't want. Well, I'm sorry. That's what they have to do now. Says, you know, post office doesn't want to drive down the streets anymore.
But you know, Harry, if you look at Sutton Street, what it was 2 years ago to what it is today.
Oh, it's beautiful. Great drive. You got water going all the way up now.
Water goes up to Hill Street. People could tap in right now on the water, but not yet on the sewer, because
No.
sewer, the inverts have to be put in and the structures have to be raised. They're going to put top coat on before the end of the year. They're putting in sidewalks right now.
Before the end of the season.
End of the season.
Yeah.
And,
The
you know,
end of the year, we could have 4 or 5 feet of snow on the ground.
but, you know, we're going to have a lot of customers have called up already and said, you know, we have a filling system. We want to tap into the water for water. We have poor water quality. So if you do have water on Sutton Street, private water, up to Hill Street, you can tie in, but you need to contact the Board of Health before doing so, because you can't have a cross connection for
Right.
potable water. You can't have a blended water system from your well in the town. You can
Right.
still maintain your well for irrigation and spigots outside to wash the cars, but you cannot have a combined system on the same spigot in the house.
Oh, okay, right.
So contact my office.
Yeah, because they don't want the water feeding back into the system.
Right. So we'd be happy to entertain a connection fee and
No,
come on down to Fletcher Street.
All the connections run to the property lines.
Just outside the right of way, yes.
Yeah, including sewer and water.
Water and sewer. So everybody from
so
that.
everybody can tap in. They're just going to dig a trench in their own yard.
Right, but not sewer. Sewer is no tap-ins
Well,
yet.
No, not yet. But when it's ready, you'll just have to dig in your yard. You don't have to. They don't have to dig up the road again. That's what I'm trying.
No.
I know that, but I'm trying to explain it to the other people. We got to go. We're all done. You see how fast that went? Because
We're
Barry
done?
took a half hour of it. But
Come on, we can't be finished now,
Yeah.
Harry.
you're going to come back before a town meeting.
This is a lot of fun, you know, because I want to make DPW very transparent.
Yep.
We've got a lot going on, and most of you folks,
We're going to go off the air.
I'd invite you folks to come on down to 11 Fletcher Street.
Okay.
When you come over to Douglas Road Bridge, take a sharp left and knock on our door.
Good night. Good luck to the Patriots.
Go Patriots.